From rolling tumors to roaring lampooners, the Tigers on a Roll show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Tigers on a Roll. Of course, it is Monday, so today is another episode of Tigers on the Prowl to start the week. And there's no worse or better, I suppose, depending how you look at it, place to start than just recapping the loss in the Iron Bowl of basketball. Stephen Pearl and the squad lose their first matchup of the season to Alabama, which has become a very disgusting initiation tradition dating back to 1964. That is the last time that an Auburn head basketball coach defeated Alabama in their first matchup. We would love to break that streak soon, but that means we got to get a new head coach. So I don't know. Let's let this contract play out and see what happens. But that streak is extended yet another coaching tenure. The bright side of it all, though, Tahad Pettiford and Keyshawn Hall combined for 49 points, but we could just not get stops when it mattered late, which obviously Stephen Pearl addressed at the presser. But, you know, something went drastically wrong at halftime to cancel out quite the effort from the Auburn Tigers in the first half to eventually give up basically 60 points in the second half and end up losing that game 96-92. And, you know, surprisingly, statistics were not in our favor that, Saturday night. Generally, when you score 90 plus points in a game in college basketball, you win. And it does not happen often that you lose, but just Auburn being Auburn found a way to do it. But we are going to have to move forward. We've got this week, men's hoops going to be looking for a bounce back win against Vandy. You've got Auburn softball coming home from their Florida swing for opening weekend at Jane B. Moore Field. And then you've got Auburn baseball, thankfully, officially starting their 2026 campaign this weekend. As far as the basketball team goes, for Vandy to come to town, to come to Neville Arena tomorrow at 6 p.m., they absolutely need to do everything in their power to defend the jungle and just win the damn game. It can be by a point. It can be on a buzzer beater. It does not matter. But Auburn needs to win this game to get back to better than 500 in the SEC. And if you can get to 500 or better, you are going to the SEC tournament. Now, you may have to play a few extra games earlier in the week, but that's fine. You just have to make it. And for a squad that has clawed its way, basically into this position, and they've made some decent strides at fixing some parts of the game that were lacking, just to be in the tournament is what is really, really important for this iteration of the Auburn basketball program. And Vandy is not going to give it up easy. Vandy is a very scrappy team, but Neville Arena is still a wildly challenging place to play. And the Tigers absolutely need to bag that for an SEC victory. I don't know that Vandy has the firepower when Auburn is, on top of their game. I don't think Vandy can win this game. I definitely see Auburn winning it. But the real tall task comes later in the week. Auburn is heading to Arkansas on Saturday for a matchup with the Razorbacks. And I think that's going to be another litmus test. Alabama certainly was one. We've had a few in the SEC so far this season. But if you want to see if this Auburn team has deep March potential, watch how they handle going to Arkansas, facing Calipari again for the second time in basically a calendar month, and see how they handle the hostile environment in Fayetteville after dropping a rivalry game at home. You got to think that they have the ability to do it and they are mature enough to do it, but we will see. because John Calipari is going to come for their throats. Calipari is going to be looking to get one back after the Tigers absolutely hammered them 95-73 earlier in January. So this is a big week for Auburn basketball for a lot of reasons. One of them is to sweep Arkansas, and the other one is to just get back to over 500 in the SEC, which they absolutely have to do. So they got to find a way to do it, and beating Alabama would have been an amazing way to put Auburn in a better position and Alabama in a worse position heading into this point in the season. But they didn't do it. So we will see how that pans out for them, and I'll be doing a preview show for sure for both of those games, because it is very, very interesting to address the current circumstances that Auburn basketball is playing in right now. And I think one of the more important parts of the schedule, and certainly most people's favorite of the spring sports, is if Auburn basketball is struggling, you want Auburn baseball to be playing really well. And they are back. They are back in action. And this will be the first time you will see Butch Thompson's new squad after bringing in some absolutely immaculate high school guys, some transfers, and Butch Thompson has this program picked to be 5th in the SEC, which is good enough to be a basically unanimous top 10 team in the nation, but that's how challenging the SEC is this year, and they always are. But top 5 in the 5th, so call it top 5, call it the 5th spot, whatever. That is the highest preseason ranking that we have seen Auburn baseball get in years. 21 years to be exact. But why not? Why not them this year? You know, Auburn is led by a trio of absolute ballers that are going to be a force to be reckoned with this weekend and for the next few months as their season unfolds. Chris Rembert goes into this season as a first-team preseason All-SEC player, and then he's bookended with 2 other proven hitters in Chase Fralick and Bub Terrell. And both of those guys are going to be vying to be huge contributors again this year. And this weekend, Auburn baseball is opening up a 3-game series against Youngstown State, and that starts Friday. So if you're in Auburn, or you can make it, if you're within an hour and a half, 2 hours even, absolutely go to this game, because first of all, I think Auburn sweeps Youngstown State, but then you get to go visit Plainsman Park and see what this squad can do. I think that Auburn baseball is going to be, again, one of the prides of the Plain, and I think that their season is going to shape up to end up even better than it did last year and the year before that. I mean, Auburn baseball has been on a tear. Plainsman Park was packed out late in the season, and this team absolutely has the ability to win their regional and get to Omaha. No question about it. And no question about it, what's going on the other diamond down the road, because you can't forget the ladies. Auburn softball wrapped up a pretty wild swing in Florida, losing their season opener and then shocking Clemson, and then ended up falling in extra innings to, I think it was Pittsburgh. But their weekend in Clearwater, Florida was a roller coaster, and they get to come home this week for their season opener, their home opener. And they will be playing Illinois on Thursday. And then they are playing Bradley and Campbell on Friday, Bradley and Binghamton on Saturday, and then they end the weekend with Campbell again on Sunday morning. And those games are affordable or even free to attend, and they can also all be streamed on ESPN. So absolutely check out the product that we were putting on the diamonds, both for the baseball team and the softball team. And if you can make it to any of them, Plainsman Park is an incredible venue. And Jane B. Moore Field is always rocking for the girls. You know, it is certainly an experience that you shouldn't miss out on if you have the opportunity to go. And again, I'm expecting really, really big things from the lineup as they look to build some momentum into the, before they get into their SEC gauntlet, which, just like baseball, the SEC is one of the best softball conferences in the country, if not the best, annually. And then around the Plains, we've got women's tennis taking on number 1 Georgia today at 3:30 Central. So that game that matchup will be starting in a couple hours. And then you've got track and field. They're both out of town, or track and field and cross country indoor season. They are both out of town. They're competing in in Clemson's Tiger Pot Invitational and Boston University's Valentine Invitational. We had struggled in the outdoor season a little bit. We definitely underperformed, but you think that they can get right and see how they run at some of these invitationals that are coming up. And if you want to check them out, you got to watch the live scoring on that because those are not televised. But if you're in the area, you can always go attend. And then you've got golf, who was on an absolute heater. They tied a college golf record. I think it was like 77 under par for the team score last week. And obviously those guys are all balling out. They are in Gainesville this week at the Gator Invitational, and the women's golf team who are also on a roll. They're down in Melbourne, Florida for the Moon Golf Invitational. Check out both of those squads and definitely follow them on Instagram. They put out great content, and they are all have the ability to win some rings this year. And then you've got women's basketball on the road Sunday playing Texas A&M. I believe that is their only game this week. They have an open date this week to rest up as they try to head into their last month-ish of play. And then the women's tennis team is back home this weekend. That, again, is free admission to anyone that is in the area and would like to go. They're matched up with Grand Canyon and Middle Tennessee State on Sunday. And if you have kids, if you are at the match at 2 p.m., they have a Little Tiger Tennis post-match kids clinic. So if you are local and you've got kids, male or female, doesn't matter, and you want to introduce them to the game of tennis, you can go to that clinic for free and go to the match for free, and check that out and see what the clinic looks like, and give your kids the opportunity to mingle with some college athletes, some Auburn athletes, and also get them out on the court swinging a racket, just like the women's basketball team did. That is an absolutely incredible experience for kids, basically of all ages, preteens and young kids, to get out there and explore a sport they might not have played otherwise. And then to wrap up the show, we finally have Gymnastics, who I was really, really high on over the last few weeks, and they continue to drop matches. It has been a really tough stretch for the Auburn Gymnastics squad. And they dropped a close one against Kentucky last Friday. But listen, man, Graba's squad is young and they're showing flashes. You got Marissa Neal out there and Julianne Huff, who are putting up huge numbers, but consistency across the squad, especially on even bars, has been lacking, let's say. And they're certainly focusing on it at a practice. I've heard that has been a focus right in the facility this week, because that is where they're losing points. And they face LSU this Friday, who is historically a very good gymnastics team. And it'll be a tough test for them, but it is exactly the kind of, iron sharpens iron sort of thing that gets the squad ready for potentially an SEC championship run in that bracket in Tulsa next month. So if they can win this game, if they can win this matchup, the ones that they've dropped recently were really, really, really close. And then, you finally put it all together and you win this and you start stacking those in-conference wins. Absolutely do not count the girls out yet. They have the talent. They can hit the 197, plus point mark any night, which will eventually translate to wins more often than it doesn't. It just so happens that they are competing in, again, one of the hardest athletic conferences in the country, and that includes gymnastics in this case. But keep an eye out for them. Stay tuned on them. And again, another great part of the athletic department that is fun to follow on social media. They are always putting out really good content, and they are super competitive. Those Tigers just have not been able to get on a roll recently, but I'm hoping they do against the Bayou Bengals as they host LSU this weekend, Friday night Heights. But speaking of Tigers on a roll, that is it for today's episode of Tigers on a Roll. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in. I really appreciate everyone tuning in for the stellar interview with Cole Best. I mean, what a super impressive guy. But in the same vein, there was a lot of feedback from that interview with some of the folks that tuned into it. As you can see, I've got a brand new mic setup. It has been upgraded. And I've got a new kind of EQ thing going on here. So hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear, and the broadcast will be that much better from here on out. But, make sure that you check out that interview. If you're seeing this for the first time, go watch that interview. Really, really impressive guy. And make sure you subscribe to the channel as we gear up for more coverage of Tigers on the Diamond. And please like, share, and subscribe. Share the video with Auburn fans. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you liked it. Drop me comments. I read all of them. I try to interact with everyone that interacts with me. And if you catch something outside of the live stream, or you want to take the conversation elsewhere, always happy to engage on X as well. That's at Tigers on a Roll. Again, folks, thank you for watching the show. I really appreciate it. I hope we keep bringing you some solid content. And if you want to see anything programming wise, do not hesitate to let me know. Thanks for watching, y'all. War Eagle, I will see you.